Morning guys, hope you're having a good Sunday. This is just an update to my Haibike series of videos that I'm bringing to you. Now I was actually due, pardon me, to bring out the second part to my video, and what I'm going to incorporate in the second part of the video was the ranges that you can actually achieve with this bike, but also the highest gear that you can be in with each level of assist on a very steep hill, so you can get a kind of feel of how powerful the bike is. Now that video will be coming, I promise you. I did actually do some filming, but sadly I haven't got a lapel mic. I have now, but at the time I didn't, and it basically, the wind blotted it all out. It's a bit of a faff using a lapel mic because the editing software I use, which is Filmora, currently doesn't actually have an ability to convert mono sound into stereo like left and right channels. So it's basically, without going too deep, I literally have to edit the video, take the audio off that, save it, put it through another piece of software that basically makes it stereo, then re-edit that back into video, and then edit it again, and it's a right faff. I believe Photoshop allows you to do, or some of the other editing software program allows you to tick something that converts it into stereo. Mine doesn't, so it's a bit of a faff doing it. Anyway, as to the reasons why I haven't brought this to you, basically I'll try to condense it down as much as I can. It's quite a lengthy explanation. I basically had a puncture Saturday week, so last Saturday. It was at night. I managed to limp the bike onto, I was actually in a darkened area. I managed to walk it into a lightened area. Obviously I've got lights, but they're not great for actually seeing that much, so I managed to get it under some street lights. The problem was there was actually 3 problems, believe it or not, and in all honesty this is kind of my fault for just assuming that bikes haven't changed in the last 15 years since I last bought one. Basically, modern bike tyres or some rims are tubeless. What that basically means is you don't need an inner tube. I have actually got inner tubes in my bike tyre or tyres, and but mine actually can have a liquid poured into the tube when it's half on, and then you roll it around, and then you just bead the tyre back in, pump it up, and then basically that acts as a sealant. But my one, as I say, I've got inner tubes in. Now the first problem I had was with the Suntour forks, which have got a unique through axle design, which is called a Q lock. So basically you release a quick release as normal. If you've got a quick release on a bike, you would have known this. Normally you would have undone the nut one side, and then effectively you'd actually drop the wheel out. Through axles actually physically get removed from between the forks, and then the bike will actually drops out. So you've actually got the axle in your hand. Now the problem with the problem I had with the Q lock is mine actually, I don't think personally was assembled correctly. Now the reason I say that, I've subsequently received from the bike company excuse me, I actually bought the bike from down in Swansea in Wales, called Treads. Well done to Treads for actually understanding the problem I actually had, and they sent me out a new part which I've just received yesterday. And basically with the Q lock type of through axle, what you have to do is you release it on one end first. That releases the tension on the other side. You then have to push and turn like a quarter of a turn on what would be the nut on the other side, but it's like a little cylindrical item that then pushes on these flanges that would actually hold them. They spread open when you release it one way, and when you push it in they go flat, and then you can slide the whole Q lock through. Now what I actually had was at the what would be the nut end, there's a little circlip on the end of the spindle that goes all the way through the whole through axle, and basically the whole thing exploded in my hands. It was actually dark. I didn't know at that stage that I couldn't actually put it back together again, so I subsequently then thought, oh well, I picked up all the pieces and I thought I might be able to assemble it, sillily, because it's a sealed unit. Well, it can be maintained, but that's the story for another day. So basically I've got all these bits, and I thought, right, worst ways, I'll actually replace the put a puncture patch on the puncture. And that led me to my second point. Now basically I actually had on the bike, because I forward thought at this stage, I had a punch repair kit with a mini hand pump the repair kit. I even had a spare inner tube with me, and for the life of me, I couldn't get the tyre off the rim. Now, I've actually done a lot of research since on YouTube, and I couldn't find, apart from a gentleman out in America who used a vice to get these tyres off. They are that hard. Now, basically, setting all of this aside for a moment, the way that these tyres work on these modern rims, because my, as I say, rims are tubeless, which I won't go into at the moment, but basically mine's still got an inner tube in, and basically the tyre, the way to describe it is it, on our traditional cars, when you have a tyre replaced on a wheel, when you, if you ever watch them do it, and they'll use a machine that basically puts like a metal hydraulic ram, and you'll hear the tyre go pop, that's actually releasing the bead off the rim, and then they put an like a piece of iron in there, or like there's another tool that's on the machine that then goes underneath, and then they circle the tyre and it lifts the tyre off. Now, these tyres are exactly the same, and I'm not joking, even Superman couldn't get these tyres off. They are absolutely rock solid on, and it's basically because the bead is actually stuck inside the channel. Even though there's no air in it, like the car tyres, they physically need to be, the seal needs to be broken. Anyway, so I couldn't get the tyres off, so for the life of me, and in all honesty, the kit that I actually had with me was absolutely garbage. I won't mention where I bought it from, but it was quite a big e-retailer. I've subsequently put a really negative review, and personally this product should be taken off the shelves. Even if I could have got the tyre off and got to the inner tube, the pump that was actually included, it didn't have the correct valve to actually pump it up anyway, which it said it did. But that's another story for another day. So anyway, basically I was stranded, and so I had to call for recovery, and I basically managed to get recovered back home with all, like, basically all of the pieces I had, and obviously the wheel and the bike. And I say, Treads actually sent me out a new Q-lock through axle. I received it yesterday, but yesterday afternoon I actually spent about 4 hours, and I weren't going to let it defeat me, how to get this tyre off this rim. And like I say, I did actually go on YouTube, and I couldn't find, when I was at the scene with the problem, anything on YouTube how to get these tyres off. But I did actually find a gentleman who actually, like I say, had this a vice in America. And I thought, well, that's no good, because who carries a vice around on their bike? So I thought, there's got to be an easy way of doing this. Anyway, as I say, started waffle on. Cut a long story short, going back to these machines that they use to pop the bead off, I thought, what about if I actually use my foot to put the rim down? And I will do a video on this, by the way, guys, showing how to do this, because people need to know this is a very easy technique when you know how to do it. But oh my god, I couldn't find it for the life of me online. I basically put the wheel down flat, and keeping the disc facing up, so then you're not going to damage the brake disc on the ground. I literally put the wheel down, and then basically put my feet either side of the tyres. So then so if you imagine the rim is, say, there, and the tyres there, and it's beaded in here, I put my foot here, so then the bead could actually, or the rim could actually move. And then what I'd done was I actually grabbed handfuls of spokes, not on one or two spokes, on multiple spokes, so then you're putting the pressure across many spokes, so then you're putting the centre of pressure without actually bending them, and then literally just pulled them, and it literally just popped. And I mean literally, like how you hear it in the tyre places, it went exactly the same sound. It went ping, and it popped out. And then you can do another little bit further around if you want, and then you can get a tyre lever up, get another tyre lever underneath it as well, and then you can actually open it and you get access. But like I say, on site I couldn't even get it. Ironically, after I actually found a way to do it, I actually went back online, and I typed in some other ways of doing it, and I actually found another gentleman out in America, and he actually uses exactly the same principle, but it's so publicised, if you want to call it, on YouTube. So I'm actually going to do a video. I think there needs to be more of them out there, and I think once other people adopt it, and use this technique, I think it'll become more widespread, and then it'll put this to bed and no one will ever have any problem. I mean, I basically done the front one, put that all back together again, and pumped it up, and when you pump them up, you then hear it go pop again when it gets to a higher amount of pressure. It takes a long time with a hand pump, admittedly, but at least you'll be able to get home. But you, like I say, you'll hear it go ping, and then it basically seats on the rim, or you might hear multiple pings as it starts going up. I then practice on my back one, and I done it literally first time, so it works flawlessly. But it's like everything in the world, it's easy when you know how, and absolutely dreadful when you don't. Anyway, guys, so that's basically where we are. I've now got the bike back on the road, and so when we get some decent weather, because obviously, I mean, I haven't got full waterproofs yet, I'll actually do a demonstration of all of the modes going up that hill, and talk you through some of the other functionality on the bike as well that I actually missed on the first part. And then in the future, I will do other videos, like I said to you before, about some of the ride-outs I do. Anyway, guys, that's about it for this lengthy explanation, but I had to go through all of that to get to the point I was trying to make. And as I say, I will do that demonstration and upload that today, so later on today, Sunday, as long as I get time, of course, when I get home, because I've got to upload this video. And I will speak to you guys soon. Bye for now.